if it's not actually a viable business option. Okay.
Yeah, and I think follow your passion can be a scapegoat for A, the person selling the course,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
And B, the person that's listening to that course that says, "Oh yeah, I just need to follow my like." It sounds easy.
I'm just gonna like start a pen business, and I'm automatically going to become successful just because I'm passionate. No, motherfucker, you might suck at pens. So on this podcast, we're gonna take a little bit of a detour, and we're gonna start getting into a little bit more business.
Love it.
Well, we're gonna keep talking a lot about real estate. We could start talking about
real estate is business.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and
I approach real estate like I do any of my other businesses.
True.
I even, I refer to all my units and my properties as products and inventory and all that stuff. So it's a business.
A lot of overlaps.
Yeah, I run it like a business. So we got a comment on YouTube, and it was, would you guys be open to making podcast episodes relating to business? More business than just strictly real estate. I'd love to hear all the stories Dan has about his businesses. If the podcast is already this fucking gold, just covering real estate alone. So
appreciate the feedback. Yeah, definitely. And this is important because we're all out here. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably looking for financial freedom.
Yeah.
There's a couple ways to do it. Number one, real estate. Number two, you got to start a business. You can't do it with your job and saving, right?
Yeah.
So business is huge. I have aspirations of doing some sort of business. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're in the game. How many businesses have you started or own right now? I think you're 10 plus, right?
No. Yeah. Maybe a little less.
No, like legit, right? Like the guy's a serial entrepreneur. So you probably have some great insights here.
Yeah. So I want to pop off the podcast with regards to business to one of the most important, I guess, narratives that I want people to know. And that is not necessarily going after your passion. Because if you only go after your passion, you may very well be restricting your opportunity of success.
The gurus on YouTube tell us you have to follow your passion.
Exactly.
Right?
So here's the thing. That sells, right? Like that sells, and people want you to buy their shit, and they want you to buy into their fucking whole program and whatever they're selling you, right? At the end of the day, my perspective is you just might be fucking shit at your passion. You might not be good enough. Maybe it should stay a hobby, but I'm not saying don't try. Okay. I'm not saying don't try. I think you should give it a valiant effort, but you need to recognize when it's not working and if it's not actually a viable business option. Okay.
Yeah. And I think follow your passion can be a scapegoat for A, the person selling the course,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
And B, the person that's listening to that course that says, "Oh yeah, I just need to follow my passion." Like it sounds easy.
Oh,
I just need to follow my passion.
I'm going to do? I'm like really passionate about like, I don't even know, like fucking pens. I'm just going to like start a pen business I'm automatically going to become successful just because I'm passionate. No, motherfucker, you might suck at pens.
Yeah. Or the business might suck.
Yeah, or the business might suck. It might not be there. It might be a very, dilute or saturated market.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't fucking know. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what you need to do is this is my advice to people. Number one, what you should do is you should look at your own life, okay, and find out, one, is there something that you wish, product or service, you had in your own life? Or number two, do you use a product or service in your own life that you think you can make or do better? Mm-hmm. So, maybe you have a better idea to make fucking pens. I don't know. But
and I'll say this. There's even when there's a lot of competition, like you said, you can do it better. Yeah. I'll tell you from my experience in business and some personal experience with some people I know, the bar is often pretty low with some of these business people that are selling stuff. Like my sister-in-law just started an e-commerce thing, and there's a lot of competition what she's doing, selling stuff on Etsy, whatever. But what she realizes, all the people selling on Etsy suck. Like all she has to do is be a little bit better than them. And she has orders like pouring in, right? So competition depends how you look at it, right? Yeah. Because you can look at it like, this competition sucks. I'm gonna be better than them. Yeah. Right. I think that's kind of what you're saying, right?
For sure. To a certain extent. Yeah, exactly. And the third is you see an opportunity that's not currently being met in the market, right? So you exploit a hole in the market. Yeah. So those are the three things that I recommend doing.
Now, do you have examples of times where you've done those personally? I think Canadian Protein
absolutely. So Canadian Protein number one was the first example of me actually not, number one, trusting the products in the market. Number two, there were just no products available in our country like a Canadian protein style product. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to make it myself. And I started, friends and family. And that's another thing that I would recommend is like, hawking your stuff to friends and family. If they typically like it, you might have something there. Right. And then not only that, I started that business based off of the notion that I couldn't get what I wanted for myself. I constantly had to order from the States, and the quality coming out of the US was fucking horse shit. So number one, I did it better. And number two, I created a new market, or I exploited a hole in the market.
There's a gap in Canada,
right? A gap in the market in Canada.
I think this was more at the start of like the internet and e-commerce too, right? Like it wasn't like
2007,
it wasn't as big as it is now. No, you were pretty early to the game, and basically you saw a hole in Canada's market.
Yeah, and I realized that like, hey, listen, like, back then everybody was trying to fight to get into like stores and retail and stuff like that. I was like, fuck that. I'm not going into like that. That's a dying industry. I'm going to the internet only. Right. So, and we cornered the market on the internet in Canada, and that's how Canadian Protein started.
Now, what about do you have an example where there was a lot of competition for a business and you said, well, I don't care, I can do it better, these guys suck, or anything like that? Or is that?
The cannabis market. There's a lot of competition. I just feel like they all suck. Like, so in terms of like,
don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah. In terms of like the branding, in terms of like how they manage the business, in terms of like how they financially responsible they are. Like, how many times have you heard of cannabis companies like going out of fucking
Honestly,
business?
not that I pay attention a lot, but I see in the news all the time. Yeah.
Nonstop. Like, and there's a reason for that, because they're not financially responsible. They're not using their own money. They're using other people's money. It's really easy to use other people's money and just like blow the budget on shit, right?
And when you have a hot topic like
100%.
weed, you have people pouring money into it. Well, you're giving your money to the wrong people because they don't know about business, right? Yeah. And it's like the government, right? We have a government right now that doesn't understand business,
exactly,
and they don't run our country properly. Same goes for business. So what you're saying is, well, these leaders, these business operators aren't doing a very good job. I can do it better.
100%. Like, so we came in through, got this facility up and running for a fraction of the cost that a lot of these other players in the market are able to do it, and probably 4 times the size of the facility. So what's that going to do? It's going to reduce our cost of goods.
Yeah.
Or our end value of all the goods that we're producing. So
you're going to be able to basically undercut anybody.
Yeah,
we're going to be able to produce it cheaper.
Yeah, we're going to be able to. Unit. Yeah, we're going to be able to be very competitive in the market.
Yeah.
So this is some, and then not only that, like the branding. Oh my God, fuck, does it suck? Like, I just look at some of this shit and I'm like, how the fuck do you guys think? And they're paying these people like an insane amount of money. Like, some of these public companies, when you can look at like the salaries and you just look at this shit and you're like, how the fuck is that guy making that much money to put out this shit? Like, it's unbelievable. I almost don't even understand it. Yeah, it's insane to me. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to come from a different perspective, and we're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to kind of like freshen up the game here. We're going to bring it from like, even though it's a new industry, we're going to bring it from like the fucking Stone Age to like
bring some 2021 to like this market that could be huge.
100%. It is huge.
Yeah, it already is huge.
It's a huge market. It's an absolute huge market.
Here's the thing. It's huge, but there's also a lot of probably dead weight out there that needs to get
tons
and will get cut.
Yeah, the market weight, will cut. There's tons of noise.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people in there that are and another problem that I see in business too is a lot of people like will look to those like leaders in the market, like the Afria or like the top tier people. They look at them for like inspiration in terms of like how they should position themselves, and then they try to like mimic it, and that's like that's not the right answer.
I like this.
That's never what you should do. Mm-hmm. How do you expect to build a niche and differentiate your products or brand if you're constantly looking to someone else for inspiration? Mm-hmm. Don't look at them. Mm-hmm. One of the ways that I actually looked for inspiration was like outside of the nutritional market. When I first started Canadian Protein, I looked at Nike. I looked at like Vans. Like I looked at like.
And what would you take from like a Nike or Vans? Because it seems so unrelated, right?
Just like how they were actually like branding their products and not trying to sell it to people. How they were actually like pulling people in emotionally, right? With their emotional branding strategies and things like that. And I just even the persona, like Nike has a personality. Vans has a personality. You know, I wanted Canadian Protein and all the brands that I'm involved with have a personality. If you were to look at one of my brands and if you were to say, you should be able to describe a brand as a person. What should that brand look like as a person? Right.
And it shouldn't be the same as another person.
Exactly. Like we're all unique and everything. Yeah. So a brand should be extremely unique, and you should never, you should never try to mimic that. That is something that I've seen in the nutritional market nonstop is trickling all the way down is people looking from the very top and mimicking the top. And then you see the exact same fucking products all the way down to the basement. Yeah. And that is something that I never wanted to do. And that's probably why Canadian Protein and, you know, some of the brands that we're involved with have done very well.
So failure to differentiate yourself. Now, would you say that your brand has elements of you in it? Like not that you've been myopic and like, oh, I got to be myself, but like there's taken from all these different things and then you create your own thing.
So I in terms of Canadian Protein?
Yeah. Or any other business that you do.
So now here's the thing too. I don't necessarily think it's important to mimic yourself in a brand because, you know, sometimes you may not be able to exploit a market that you see a gap in if you try to mimic yourself in that brand to exploit the gap, right? So say, for example, you wanted to sell motorcycle clothing. I don't know, right? Like I'm just saying, right? Like at the end of the day, like you might actually see something, right? And you might be able to leverage some sort of knowledge, right? That you have in order to exploit that gap in that industry. But you may not be the right person to, you know, be the personality of the brand. Like that's why on Canadian Protein, I'm not actually the personality of the brand. And that's why we typically go outside of me to find people to represent the brand.
This is good.
Right? You know, I've got like at the end of the day, like, listen, at the end, you know, Canadian Protein is a brand that I stand for. Okay. It's trustable. I want product that I can give to my friends. If you buy a bag of protein from me, I know you're getting the best shit. Okay.
And honestly, that is true. Like you have the best protein.
Appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say.
100%.
So at the end of the day, I know you're getting the best shit. I know you can trust it. Okay. The brand is full of integrity. I make sure that brand is my baby. Right. So I know people are getting the best shit. However, at the end of the day, even though that's what I stand for and that's what my branding stands for I stand for that and my brand stands for that wholeheartedly. No question, no argument there whatsoever, right? However, in terms of my optics and look, I am not the right person to represent Canadian Protein. And the reason for that is, you know, I've got tattoos, you know, I swear, like there's,
sure do.
So there's certain things that I do in life that are not the best to represent that brand. And not because it's the wrong answer. It's because
the brand is its own thing.
Yeah, the brand,
its own person, like
the brand has its own person. Yeah. And I don't envision me with my personality being myself representing the brand is the right decision. So what you do is you bring someone in that can represent the brand better than you feel you can personally, right? And that happens across the board. Like what's the guy's name? Phil Jackson? Who's the guy at Nike? Who started Nike?
Phil Knight, whatever.
Who's Phil Jackson?
Phil Jackson's a coach.
Former coach of the Lakers. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so
sports so
yeah,
well.
Exactly. So there's a reason why he wasn't the face of Nike, and why Tiger Woods is, and brands evolve as well, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a reason why that is he is not the best to represent the brand, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, Canadian Protein, I wanted a brand that is extremely trustable, full of integrity, and a brand that a lot of people can like really identify with. It's clean, stuff like that. I am not.
So do you think of, then do you take the end user and work backwards? Almost like, okay, who do we want this brand to attract?
Of course. And the reason, yeah, exactly. So for Canadian Protein, this isn't the right answer for branding, but this is where it started. I wanted Canadian Protein to be the brand for everyone. Okay. Now, typically the best branding is to go after a niche market. Okay. So now we are trying to attract a niche market, right? But
is real quick workout and that lifestyle not niche enough? Do you have to niche down further, right? Like just workout.
That is the right answer, right? So say for example, like of that, there's all kinds of like little sub markets, right? Like there's female fitness, there's bodybuilding fitness, there's vegan, there's all kinds of like different stuff like that, right? So, and I've seen like with our other brands, because we don't just have Canadian Protein, we've got other little brands. When you really niche it down, it gets very specific and it makes it much easier to even target your target audience.
Good point.
Okay. So when you're too broad, you run into the risk of like overspending on marketing, overspending on advertising, stuff like that. Cause you're trying to pull like a very big like barrel of people or like basket of people. When you niche down, it's extremely easy to target. Okay. And it reduces costs and it reduces like just like everything, like wages, like everything across the board. It just makes it easier to attract your target market. So the right answer is you spin off a bunch of micro brands that are extremely niche. However, with Canadian Protein, we are targeting, say, for example, the more so the I don't want to say general public, but more so the active lifestyle person, okay, which a lot of people can fall into. But the key with Canadian Protein is that doesn't mean that a bodybuilder won't buy our stuff. Okay, that won't mean that, a mother of 3 that can only work at home right now because we're all in fucking lockdown can't buy our shit. You know what I mean? So we don't like discriminate against trying to market to other people. I just happen to feel like myself to be the only person branding my own company is not the right answer, right?
Yeah, it's a good answer.
So you try to attract different demographics. Like for example, Clark is a big voice in Canadian Protein in the branding. He's a good looking guy. He's very fit. He's got a wholesome kind of look. He doesn't have tattoos, stuff like that. But that's not to say that like I won't go on there with tattoos, because there are people that have my look that would take my product. I know plenty of them. I just don't feel like I'm the right guy. I'm not as articulate as Clark. Like there's certain things that you also need to stay in your own wheelhouse, right? Like I don't want to be the voice of Canadian Protein. And then, if a mom of 3 that is more of like, a wholesome nature comes onto our podcast and I'm fucking this, fuck that, fuck this, like she might be turned off by it. So that's why I kind of like separate myself a little bit from my brands, because I know to the general, to a lot of people, I might actually have an off-putting personality and maybe too aggressive, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Oh, I like this. Yeah.
And I do, but I at least I realize that like at the end of the day, what I stand for and what my brand stand for are trust, trustability, integrity, and those are the key values of our brand.
Yeah, you take your personal values and integrate them into the brand. But the brand is its own person.
Exactly.
And you need to look at your end user and who you want to attract and make that brand stand for that
like
end user.
I won't probably have, ever I tried the whole like super bodybuilding thing, and that whole thing is like a little off-putting to the general public, right? Or our target demographic, right? We're not going after the niche bodybuilding demographic, right? However, the niche bodybuilding demographic does buy our products because they trust them, right? And they're even more cognizant of what they want to put in their body. So it's really important to figure out if you're not the right person to rep your own brand, that's okay. You just need to find the right people to do it. But your brand needs to encompass your values, because if your brand doesn't, it'll probably fall apart, because things fall apart when it gets the wrong direction from the top.
Love it. Yeah, this is huge for people listening. Now let's go a little bit of a different direction.
Hold on. Another thing that I want to give people advice on too is in order to find a business to start, for example, is also if you work in a business and you have a good amount of knowledge based off of your previous experiences, your workspace, whatever, like mostly your experiences, if you actually have a good amount of knowledge, insight or whatever, and then you can leverage that to start a business from. That's another thing that I would recommend.
Maybe you could throw out there?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I for some reason, I don't even know why the fuck this always comes up, but I always use road cones as an example, right? Like I know the fucking road cone guy in his shop isn't like, yeah, I can't, like I'm super passionate about making fucking road cones. I know he ain't passionate about road cones. I know he's passionate about business. And maybe that guy came from, he was the guy that was like in the back of the truck, like laying them out on the road.
Yeah, this is huge.
And maybe he felt like, hey, I can develop a road cone that would allow all of these companies to put them out more efficiently, right? So he has experience in the industry and construction or whatever. Then he starts his own fucking road cone company.
Yeah, he might not be the smartest guy. Exactly. He might not be the most experienced with business, but he sees an opportunity to exploit.
Right? So at the end of the day, and actually, I'll use myself as an example. When I first started like Canadian Protein, it wasn't called Canadian Protein in the beginning, but when I first started like the supplement game, I knew nothing about making supplements. I knew nothing about, protein formulas. I knew nothing about it. All I knew was what I wanted. And I was really packed into the gym at the time. I still am. But like at that point, I was like really interested in fitness and nutrition and stuff like that. So I knew what I wanted. I wasn't getting it. So I had like some sort of like knowledge. I worked at a gym at the time.
First-hand knowledge. Yes. You were in that world.
Yeah, I worked at a gym at the time. I was listening to people, what they wanted in a supplement company and what they wish they had but couldn't get. So I was involved in the industry and I leveraged that knowledge and that insight in order to produce my own
product. You weren't
necessarily
passionate about e-commerce or necessarily passionate about supplement or manufacturing supplements.
No.
In fact, that probably scared you or something. Like, I don't know how to do that. But you said, I don't care. I can't find this product.
I'll tell you what I am not passionate about. I'm going to tell you I'm going to get really, really fucking like simple here for everybody. I am not passionate about nutrition. I am not passionate about working out. I am not passionate about making supplements. I am not passionate about fucking real estate. I'm not passionate about cannabis. I am not passionate about my limo company, like any of that shit. What I am passionate about is when I fucking see somebody that is like, man, Dan, I love your product. It's the best shit that I've ever tried. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dan, I really love how you run your real estate business. It's super inspiring. Or a tenant messages us or contact us or calls us, or I run into one or something like that. And it's like, hey, I really appreciate how tight you are with your business. Or, hey, the experience at my wedding for the limo company was amazing. I really appreciate it. Or, hey, like, I don't know, your gummies tasted great. That's what I'm passionate about.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. I love that, by the way, but what if you said, you took your passion from some limited thing like fitness or manufacturing road cones and said, okay, well, that's not the right passion to follow. Your passion that you should follow should be broader, right? Like I'm passionate about financial freedom. Like I'm looking for ways to create that. And then you can maybe exploit some things. Or I'm passionate about like figuring out e-commerce. Like I'm going to figure out this game or something. Like, would that be something that you'd recommend, or is that even?
I don't think so, because like, a lot of people, I feel like they will actually come out and say like, hey, Dan, I'm passionate about real estate. How the fuck do you know? Like what you're actually passionate about is a lifestyle. You're not passionate about real estate. You're passionate about the fucking lifestyle.
So would you say, because I would say this for myself, I'm passionate about financial freedom. And because of that passion, it fuels me to go do things and work harder than I've ever worked before, because that passion drives me. But that's I'm not passionate about real estate necessarily. I am passionate about financial freedom.
Yes,
real estate.
That would be the right answer.
Ticket to it.
Yeah. And I think here's the thing too. Like I have a different view on a lot of people try to tell people like, yeah, you should like leave your job and do your own fucking thing. And I kind of disagree with that a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong with you can do a lot of things while you also work. Okay. Number one. Okay. So
we'd recommend it
100%. Yeah. Like you should leverage your job to, develop that financial freedom if that is your goal. But number two, there's plenty of people that truly, really do enjoy their job and they don't want the fucking extra. Like, dude, I am stressed the fuck out nonstop.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, I got a lot of big things going on
for sure.
But on the flip side, like I have a very like limited quality of life here. Like I am like working nonstop. I saw another comment on YouTube and somebody was asking me like, hey, Dan, how do you manage your
work-life balance?
Your work-life balance. And I was like, motherfucker, like I don't have one.
Yeah,
like
you're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, like I don't have one at all, right? So even when I go on vacation, like I actually like don't like to go on vacation because of that reason, right? So I don't have like I don't recommend this lifestyle.
I'll interject real quick just from my personal experience. A significant portion of my clients say the same thing. They actually like their job and they're not actually looking to quit. Yeah. But they want to get into real estate as to increase their income and like maybe retire in 5 or 10 years early.
I think that's a better play is okay, fine. If you want to produce financial freedom and you want to like quit all your shit and like start doing real estate, okay, well, number one, you need to realize that that's a long-term game.
It's gonna take
like
a while.
You're not going to get to like financial freedom like in fucking 1 or 2 years. Like get the fuck over it. Number one.
5 to 10.
And exactly. Number two, you need to leverage your current work environment to be able to produce capital or raise capital to be able to do it.
And leverage it and try to like do better in your current job, make more money in your current job, get a promotion in your current job, and then use that extra money to build your side thing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then number three, like I think a lot of people need to realize a lot of these, gurus or whatever, these like self-help people, they're trying to fucking sell you something. And that is a very sellable product. Like get your fucking head out of the sand and stop thinking like you're not going to be successful. You're not going to have anything if you like work for someone else. Like what a fucking shitty thing to tell people. Like,
but it sells, man.
I know it sells and it sells to sheep because they can't see fucking some people just don't want the extra headache. And arguably those people might even be further ahead in life because they might not just be cut out for it. You know what I'm saying? Like they may not be cut out for, listen, at the end of the day, I know, like I understand why some people just don't want their own fucking business. Like
100%.
I don't recommend this lifestyle for anybody.
Sacrifice.
It's significant, man. Like fucking significant. Like it really is. And if you think you want to scale to the point where you're like subsidizing your own, like you're this balling out fucking lifestyle with your own income, like do you understand the fucking sacrifice it takes to get there? Like I don't fucking recommend it. But if you're that type of person that thinks you can get it done, well then that's a different story, right? I am the type of person. I also don't know really anything else. I've almost like never really had like a real job, like a real full-time job. So I almost don't know anything else. So I've been so conditioned to like live with fear, live with stress. Like I'm so conditioned to deal with it that, it might just be that might just be the case.
Yeah, but people, when they look at you, man, they see the cars, they see the success, they see this, but it's the tip of the iceberg, right? What's going on underneath that is significant sacrifice. Most people want a balance, right? Like even myself, I don't think I'm willing to do what you're doing. Like I don't want that, but I do want to build a nice lifestyle more passively, right? That's why I mostly focus on real estate because I don't get called very often. But just to understand that if you're going to go down this path, you better be ready to grind. Like what psychological traits do you need to take this to like the level that you've taken it to? What level of sacrifice is involved here? Just so people, like, if you're going to go into something, you need to count the costs ahead of time. Yeah, because you're wasting your time and money if you're not willing to
straight up. Like even when we were all growing up, remember we were all like going on vacation and shit. Like I didn't go. Like I went on one fucking trip to Cancun that was fucked up, by the way.
You can say that again.
But I went on that one trip and that was it. I didn't go on any other vacations. I didn't like buy crazy. Yeah, I didn't buy like any cars.
Dude, you drove that van for.
Yeah, I drove a fucking 1999 Ford fucking Windstar that was, I couldn't even park it in my driveway because it was rusting. Like it was staining the driveway so bad that I couldn't even park it. I had to park on the road.
Yeah, and myself at the time, I didn't have this. I bought a BMW, right? Like all of us were buying new cars and stuff. And I didn't see the sacrifices that you were making while you were building this business on the side, right?
Yeah.
And I think the point here is if you're going to go down this path, there's going to be a significant amount of sacrifice, and maybe it's not the right path for you. No, right? It might not be the right path for everybody.
No. And I think a lot of people need to kind of come to grips with like how easily can you handle stress? Are you the type of person that gets crippled with fear? Are you able to not even overcome fear? I can't stand when fucking people tell other people like, you got to do this to overcome fear. You'll never overcome it. Life is scary. Getting into real estate is scary. Business for yourself is scary. Like what you have to do is you just have to like learn to live with it and channel it in the right way so it doesn't cripple you. That's what you have to learn how to do. You have to deal with it. Shut the fuck up and learn how to deal with it because it's not going away. Like really, like it's not going away. So, in terms of like not going after or pursuing your passion, I don't necessarily think that that's the right approach. I do
think, whether or not you want to start a business, like you got to see what the level of stress that people like Dan take on. Even my family member that just recently started the e-commerce thing and is starting to really blow up. She got to the point where she's like doing things to take less orders because she's got a family and a couple kids and this type of thing. Like it was like, oh, I didn't expect this. It's too much. Like, but she saw the success, right? And she saw the end goal and the stuff that comes along with it, but didn't understand the work that might come with it. Yeah. I do think real estate's for everybody though. I think everybody should take their earned income and buy real estate because it's relatively passive. It's not completely passive, but it's relatively passive. And it's a great hedge against inflation. And I don't know of any other hedges really against inflation, unless you can outpace inflation with a business. But with a business, you better be prepared for several years of grinding. Yeah. Like when you started, you're the accountant, you're the designer, you're doing everything, right?
Yeah.
You're the
fucking mixer,
the mixer,
capper, like fucking everything.
Yeah. You're going to the bank to deal with the banks. You're shipper, basically
like I remember like literally driving around town with boxes in my fucking trunk, like literally delivering my own packages,
like hand delivering stuff.
Yeah. Like I used to have to like tie it down because I had at that point I had a Cavalier. It was even before the van. Two-door. So like, I had a 2-door Cavalier and I'd have to like stuff boxes in my fucking trunk, put the seat down so it would go in the back seat and shit. I have to like get one of those, those tie downs or whatever and connect it to the fucking trunk so shit wouldn't fall out. Like, you did it all. Like you have to be willing to do that shit. Like, and I always see people too, like, oh, I'm going to start a business and I'm just going to like bring in people to just like, do everything for me. And I'm like, where the fuck you getting that money from? Like, I literally was like a one-man show. Like I literally learned Photoshop. I literally learned how to do like very basic, like website coding, like all that kind of weird shit. Like,
and it wasn't like you were completely broke. Like you had you worked a good job. You saved a lot of money, but you still don't have the money to start hiring people and designers.
I was business broke.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
It's a good way of putting it.
I was business broke for sure. Because
so you ain't starting a business and hiring people immediately.
And if you're looking to get into business and you're like just not even willing to do that shit, it's just not for you.
It's a good point.
Like if you're not willing to like, scrub floors, clean toilets, go like learn every aspect of like what the business needs to run, like it's just not for you. Yeah. You're just not going to be, it's not enough. It's not enough.
Know yourself.
You might be enough to like make a decent income, but you're not going to, you're probably more than likely not the type of person that is going to be, fucking flying around in a private jet or like opening up a scissor door on a Lambo. Like you're just not the type of guy.
And that is okay. Like we always talk about, right? That's okay.
Arguably, you probably have a better lifestyle than I would. Yeah, seriously, I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't know why the fuck I keep doing this. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, like you could probably liquidate everything and live a pretty nice lifestyle.
Yeah, of course.
Out into retirement.
And this is why I do it because I am passionate about business and the reasons why I gave and like, the feedback that I get from the stuff that I do. Like it's really not the cars. It's not anything. It's the impact
game's
I have
fun.
on people.
Yeah, the game is fun too, right? Like you're doing these things, you're challenging yourself, you're 100%. Going up against other businesses. That's a fun thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super competitive, that kind of thing. Yeah. So this brings out my competitiveness.
I think we're opposite in a lot of ways. Like I'm not really competitive against. I compete against myself only. I don't. If somebody tries to compete with me, go ahead. I don't care. Yeah. I'm just out here doing my thing, blinders on. Yeah. So for me, like, I don't think I have the same crazy goals as you. For me, it's more about freedom, which is why I do things to create freedom, right? I want that passive income. I buy high quality properties because I don't want those phone calls. I want that nice return here over a long period of time. Like I'm creating financial freedom so I can go do things to go chill on a beach for a couple weeks. I don't know if you're maybe not built that way. So, but I think people think like, well, I gotta have the private jet. I gotta have $200 million. I gotta have the Lambos. Like, do you really? Like, maybe that's not you. Maybe it is. If it is, you better be prepared to do the stuff that you're doing. Yeah. But know yourself, because if you're more like me, then maybe focus on the more passive stuff. Build it out over 5 or 10 years. You're going to create a nice life for yourself. Yeah. And maybe real estate's more the answer than business. Even if you get into business, I think you still got to take a lot of your business income and plow it into real estate. Like real estate's the foundation, in my opinion, of almost any portfolio. Yeah. I don't know if you agree with that. Yeah. I mean, obviously you're doing it.
I don't really like put my money in anything else.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Business and real estate, right? Yeah. So I don't trust anything else enough, you know? And it's also a factor of I don't know enough about other stuff either. But it's also because I'm not interested in the other stuff. Yeah. Like I just don't care. I don't like the fact that like, you know, getting into this, I don't like the fact, and I know you're going to fucking maybe balk at this, but I don't like the fact that like Elon Musk can fucking go on Twitter and say one fucking thing and tank, you know, Bitcoin or Dogecoin or whatever the fuck, and then say another thing 2 fucking days later, and then it skyrockets. Yeah. Like, I don't like that kind of shit.
I agree, but to me
but I think that you could also make a lot of money even just like watching his dumb shit that he says.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a trader, so those big fluctuations, I don't care. I buy these things for 20 years. I don't care. Yeah. But I will say this: you don't understand stocks. You don't care to understand it. Whatever. I have a pretty good grasp of the stock market. I like it and stuff. But it's real estate's just better. I don't know what else to say. It's the best asset class. You have leverage built in. You have the most safe asset. Yeah. Like it's a no-brainer. So I do play with stocks a little bit, but it's most of my 90% of my
like I'll bet on myself every day of the week versus like another CEO running a company that I can buy stocks in, because I don't have fucking control what he does. I don't have control over him like fucking somebody else's wife and then tanking the company or doing some dumb shit like that. I don't have any control, and then it, you know, leaks out and their fucking stock tank. Like I don't care. Like I don't even care if people get on fucking YouTube and are like, oh damn, well that doesn't fucking happen. I don't care. I don't fucking care. All I know is I have control over my actions and what I do. And then number 2, all I know is fucking people need a place to live, and that is it. There's no secret in this. That's it.
Don't overcomplicate this.
Exactly. And I know what I'm capable of, and my work ethic, and you know, my abilities. So
and real estate is a business. You can learn the business of real estate just like any other business. You can make a lot of money in real estate. That can be your business, like that, in my opinion.
Well, it's a lot. Like when I feel like, so I've been at the level in real estate for a couple of years now where it doesn't operate like real estate anymore. It actually operates more like a business.
Yeah, you have teams, you have management.
Yeah. So now like you better understand business if you want to get to that level, because if you don't, like the business is like real estate is not a business once you get especially to a certain level. It's just not. It needs to operate like a business.
Yeah, it's not just some passive thing. No, you better set up the systems.
It's really not. Yeah,
to handle a portfolio of 50 properties or something like that. If that's your goal,
it's a for-profit business. It is what it is. Your units that you rent to people are your products, and then the people that rent your units are your customers. That's it.
And those need to be maintained. Yeah. The portfolio needs to be kept up.
And then you need to service your tenants. Yeah. That's it.
Client customer service.
Exactly. There's much, customer relation. Like it runs the exact same way as a business.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way.
Yeah. This is huge. This is huge.
Okay. That's good.
Trader.